So if you want to, you can just kind of spin through some of these. These were end of the year highlights, I think, that they put together. But some of them are of the Elite Eight game, I think, right?
Well,
was
against North Carolina.
So you can
Well,
run
we
it a
noticed
little bit.
we noticed that I don't know how many losses you had on the year, but I think 2 of them were against the team that went to the national championship.
2 against Illinois,
and then one against the team that won it.
Yep, and then we lost. I believe we lost to Michigan State at Michigan State that year.
Okay.
That was a close game, and then we lost to, I think actually 3 of our losses were to Illinois. We lost to Illinois in the Big Ten tournament. Mm-hmm. So that was the year. If we'd have won against North Carolina, I think there were going to be 3 Big Ten teams in the Final Four.
Wow.
Because I think Illinois played a Big Ten. Didn't they play a Big Ten team on that side?
North Carolina beat us in the Elite Eight. They beat Michigan State in the Final Four, and they beat Illinois in the championship.
Okay.
Wow. Huh.
That tells you how tough the Big Ten was that year.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
What did you guys finish that year?
Second.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
And
To
the year
Illinois,
before
I
you,
take it.
Yes.
Yeah.
the year before you won it with Devin
The year before we won it.
and the tournament, right? Too?
And the tournament.
I'm talking about the Big
No,
Ten
so
tournament.
my first year we won it, the second year we won it, and then the third year we won the Big Ten tournament.
Okay.
And then my last year we finished like third and finished second in the Big Ten tournament.
But I mean, Illinois had Darren Williams,
Roger Powell, Luther Head,
D. Brown.
D. Brown, Augustine, Roger Powell.
Did they have Cook at that point too?
No, Cook was my first year.
Okay.
We beat
Weber was the coach.
yes, Bruce Weber.
Yeah.
Was all those South guys though?
Not all of them were South guys.
Okay. Brian, I'm Bill Self. I mean.
Yeah, like Augustine was a Weber guy because he was he a freshman or sophomore?
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Was Darren even the best player? Like in
Darren
college,
was a junior and was the number five pick that year.
Okay.
In the NBA draft. D. Brown ended up playing in the NBA. Roger Powell's still a coach in the NBA. I think he played for a little bit. Augustine played overseas. Who else?
Luther Head ended up making it. I know
Luther Head was in the NBA. I mean, yeah, they had a ton of guys. And the North Carolina team, 5 of their top 6 were drafted in the lottery.
Sean May was in that.
Sean May, Rashad McCants,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Raymond Felton.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Marvin Williams was the number 2 pick.
He knew 6 man, wasn't
6 man.
he? That's crazy.
Yep.
So
Why don't you just go ahead and turn the volume down a little bit, Joe, and we'll just run through a few of these highlights, and you can make some comments if you want to. What was playing Sean May like? I mean, because he was a load, wasn't he?
They played so well together. Their timing was their biggest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd literally post up, and as he was posting up, they were passing the ball in.
Oh, really?
That was the most difficult thing to try and defend in that game.
Mm-hmm. What did he run? Was he around 6'9", 6'10"?
Yeah, he was 6'9", 6'10".
Okay.
It's funny because he played real well in this game, and I played him overseas and just destroyed him when I played him overseas. But it's such a different game.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen him on some coaching staff somewhere. I can't put it.
Yeah.
I think it's
I've
North
seen him on the
Carolina.
I think it was
bench.
North Carolina. He
Maybe
was
he's
in the
North
coaching
Carolina?
staff.
I don't know. Anyway,
He was at
that
one
was
point.
Yeah,
of the
I
days.
don't
One
know.
point. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's at now.
Okay.
This was played in at Syracuse, right?
Yep, this is in the football arena, the Orange Dome.
Yeah. Was throughout the game or even going into the game, what was kind of the mindset? Did you guys think you had a fairly good shot at,
We were
beating
gonna
them?
win.
Oh, really? Okay.
That was we knew we could beat. They're ranked the best team one of the best teams in the country, and everyone was talking about them. We wanted to play them.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to play those guys, those teams, and no one was giving us a chance.
Mm-hmm. What did they? What was it? Like a 5-point game? What did the end score? end up
I think it was
being?
68, 62 or 64, something like that.
Okay.
No,
That's what it is.
it was 80.
Oh, sorry,
Like
88, 82.
88, 85 or something, 88, 84.
Okay.
I mean, Clayton got his 3 blocked at the end of the game, which changed the whole game. He makes that we're ahead with a minute to go.
Wow. You can keep spinning through it a little bit.
This is the.
Oh, is that it?
We can go back if he wants to.
Yeah, that's all right.
I know there was that was the NC State game the game before, but Yeah, there were just a couple plays at the end of the game, and that was the difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in the NC State game. Yeah.
I mean, they had the team that you had there when they became juniors and seniors. They were, I think, almost ranked number one. Wisconsin was
Yes.
because I mean, you had Tucker, you had Flowers, Cam Taylor,
Steamsma,
Butch.
You had a lot of young, good players on
Oh,
that
yeah.
bench when we were watching. Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, we had a ton of talent. And, I mean, that was the biggest thing. We played unselfishly. We made some big shots. Clayton played great.
Yeah.
Sharif made some big shots. And Greg came in and played some big minutes for us,
Yeah.
guarding May.
Saw him a couple times. Yeah. Yeah. What did he was he 6'11"? He was
7 foot.
He was 7 foot.
Yep. He played in the NBA for a while, too.
Yeah, yeah,
Played
he
for the
played
Celtics,
Celtics.
and the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I
and
remember him playing.
I
He had
remember
kind of a
correctly,
sneaky good career. I mean,
He
like,
was defensively, he was great.
Yeah.
Offensively, overseas was not his. He couldn't. He played all right overseas, but it wasn't for him.
Okay.
That defensive stopper, he didn't have much of an offense.
Okay.
if I remember correctly, I think Steamsma, he played at Randolph, and I think he won
Yep.
3 out of 4 years.
Yep. But he was 7 foot, and they had the Uppinas there that were 6'7", 6'8", and I mean, so they
Tillamook
had
playing D4.
Tillamook.
Timo was my age, and
Yeah.
he won all 4 years.
Yep.
I remember
So,
that.
but yeah, they're
Kinda
playing
crazy.
D4, and they've got
Yeah,
they got
yeah.
3 guys that are 6'6" or
Yeah,
taller on
yeah.
their teams.
Yeah, yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Good luck.
Uh-huh.
Playing against 5'11", 6 foot postmen.
yeah.
I mean, when I was a sophomore at Heights, our shortest guy in our starting lineup was 6'3". I mean, that was Ziesman. Ziesman was the starting point guard, and then you had Rush and Flanagan and Zweitler and me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that was
remember
a
that.
long
Yeah.
team you had.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we weren't small, and then you bring Casey Perrin off the bench, and John Brook was the smallest guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you think about that for D3 at that time, we were pretty big team.
Pretty big.
Yeah.
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 So I guess transitioning just a little bit into, we won't spend a ton of time about it, but your pro career overseas, just so everybody can hear, can you go through again the teams that you played for overseas?
So my first 2 years were for Aris in Thessaloniki, Greece. And then from there, I ended up going to Moscow for 2 years and playing for Kimki. And then after Kimki, I went to Istanbul for a year for Galatasaray. And then Galatasaray, I went back to Russia to Krasnodar, which is kind of in the south by the Black Sea, for a year. And then from there, it was to Kazan to a team called Unix, which was about an hour and a half flight northeast of Moscow. And then my last year was in Sofia, Bulgaria for, I forget the name of the team right now, but for Levski.
Okay. And one of the games that we watched, for whatever reason, we weren't able to get the actual footage to play on our downstairs
Okay.
computer. But I think it was for the Eris.
Okay.
It was that game that you said that you had a broken foot in.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Wow.
So just a couple questions about the overseas game. Did it change? Did the game was overseas ball kind of the same from place to place that you played, like the style and everything, or was it even different from based on where you were at locationally?
I mean, I'd say it's more like college basketball with kind of the NBA type of players. So that kind of in between players. I mean, you had Danny Green. When I was over there, Danny Green was playing over there. Josh Childress was playing over there. Andrei Kirilenko came over there and played after that. So you had a lot of guys that were the Verge NBA. I played against Ricky Rubio.
Oh, okay.
When he was over there, I played against him. So guys that were just coming up still or stuff. So there were a lot of guys that could have played in the NBA that were playing overseas that just decided to stay over there because they didn't want to come back and try and fight for a spot. I mean, a lot of the NBA is right place, right time, and who you know.
Okay.
So, and it's hard because if you come back and you try and find a roster spot in the NBA, and then try and go overseas, a lot of the good places and good contracts are already taken because you're going back a month into the season, 2 months into the season.
Okay.
Because the games over there start of September. where NBA their preseason starts in October.
Oh, okay.
So you're missing the first month and a half to 2 months, and so you miss out on the best teams, the best coaches, the best money, and then you're stuck with what's left.
Was that some of the reason that you felt like you just wanted to continue to stay overseas instead of trying to fight for a position with the NBA, or
The NBA was very different back then. I mean, if it's the NBA now, where everyone's more of a 4-5, shoot the ball, spread the floor type game. I mean, that fits my game a lot better than it did with the Shaqs and the Dwight Howards, where everyone would just bang it down low and post up type stuff. That was never really my game. I was too small to play against some of those guys.
yeah, okay. And then I apologize. So let's go back to that one game, and unfortunately we don't have some of the footage, but it's just a wild atmosphere.
So that setup, it was we played the first game in their place in Athens, and we showed up to practice down there, and it was a cold snap in Athens, and they don't have heaters in the gyms. So the gym, well, they didn't turn the heater on in that gym anyway. So it was like 50 degrees in the gym we're practicing, and the Greek guys didn't even want to practice because they said it was too cold, and they were complaining that it was too cold and they were going to get hurt. But we played the game and we ended up winning. And then it's the best of 2 games, and they combine the score. So whatever you score in the first game gets added to your score in the second game, and whoever's on top after that wins.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that's
I
what
didn't know that.
we were watching because at the end of the game, so you came in like the very
quarter,
end,
yeah.
of the third quarter, fourth quarter, and Joe and I were watching, and the guy chucked up a long 3 at the end, and I'm thinking, well, why did he shoot a 3?
Yeah.
They won. I don't understand. But then
So
you were down 2,
right.
So,
So we won the first game by 2, and then we were losing the whole second half, and I developed a stress fracture in my foot in between because it was 2 weeks between games. So I hadn't practiced in a week, and I was just doing some shooting on my own and trying to rest up. And the game was, if they needed me, they'd play me. So I suited up for it, warmed up, and we were going along, and we were down the whole game. And we got to the fourth quarter, and they put me in, and we pressed the whole fourth quarter, and we got it back to, we finished the game down 2. So the overall score was tied between the series, so we had to play overtime.
Oh, no.
Okay, that's what makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. We were so confused. We were like, why is this game still going on?
Because then they went to a 5th, and I was thinking, okay, this must be overtime. But then you're still down. Like I couldn't.
We couldn't get our head wrapped around what was going on.
Why do they do that? Is it because so much travel, or they want to play a couple of
No,
games?
it's the soccer mentality. So, like in soccer, you play. It's considered aggregate scoring, where it's the cumulative score between a road and home, and whoever's ahead wins.
Okay.
It's not like you play because it's a 2-game series. So how do you do a 2-game series? You can't end 1-1.
Yeah, true. Okay.
To try and limit travel.
I
Yeah.
see.
So that's why whoever's the higher ranked team always has the second game at home.
Oh, okay.
So that way, if you have to play overtime, you're in front of your own. You have the advantage in front of your own crowd.
I see. Well, that makes sense.
And if
More
you,
sense.
Yeah, and if you get the win on the road in the first one, you usually most of the time the team wins.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was just a wild. I mean, I'm assuming you got used to it, but the whole game, it reminded me. I don't watch a lot of soccer, but it reminded me of a soccer match.
Yep.
Because they're blowing horns and cheering and chanting, and it's like, stop, please! I just want to watch the game.
That's the way it was. It was awesome. I mean, and so like in Greece, only for our home games, only our fans were allowed at the home game. No other opposing fans.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's a home court advantage.
Because I mean, we played. So you play cup games at the beginning of the year, and it's like both fans are allowed because it's only one game, and you just win or go home. So they'll like sell tickets. We played my first year, and we were in Athens, and so we're on the visiting bench, and to our right is the home team, and so the home team has all their fans behind their bench. All our fans are behind our basket to our left, and directly behind our bench is 2 rows of cops in riot gear, all the way to the top of the stadium. So we're playing the game, and we get to the second quarter, and I come out halfway through the second quarter and sit down on the bench, and the fans are shooting fireworks back and forth across the top of our bench inside the arena. And we're trying to play a game. And I look back about 2 minutes later, and the fans have all kind of converged on the cops in the middle, and some of our fans are like have got the baton and is hitting the cop with the baton, and then the cop the next row up has the opponent's fan underneath their shield and is like hitting him, trying to get him separated. And this is all while we're still trying to play the game. And I mean, I've seen stuff where people are throwing firecrackers on the floor while the game's going on.
Wow.
I mean, we played games where my teammate was taking the ball out at half court to start the second half, and the fans leaning over with the lighter trying to light his hair on fire.
I saw. So at the end of that, at the end of the game, there was like two fans that jumped on, and one of them jumped on the back of one of your teammates. Like like it was just like, what is going on?
Yep. I mean, we were spit on, so they have the shields over the benches.
Yeah, I saw
so
that.
you can't get spit on. I mean, I got hit. We had timeout, and I was standing there talking, and someone threw an iced coffee, and it like hit me right in the chest, and there's iced coffee all down my jersey while we're sitting in the timeout. Or they heat coins up with a lighter and throw coins at you. Or we got hit with yogurt. We got hit with raw eggs. Throw eggs at us. I mean, all sorts of stuff.
Makes Malice in the Palace.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It makes it looks like child's play.
But I mean, what do you do? I mean, there's nothing you do. You're on the road, and none of your fans are allowed on their court. So
Yeah.
if
Don't wanna start a
someone
fight.
throws something at you, you're gonna go up in the stands after them.
No.
That was the first thing they ever told us, that no matter what happens, you never leave the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, we played my second year. We were playing an exhibition game, and it was at our stadium. And it was against our crosstown rivals. And so because it was an exhibition game and a preseason tournament, fans from both teams were allowed in the arena. So we were playing the game and the arena's full. We get to the like 3/4 of the way through the second quarter, and half the arena is empty. And it turned out that the fans were outside fighting in the parking lot, and our equipment manager was outside. Like 1 or 2 people ended up getting stabbed, but the equipment manager came back in, got bandaged up, and went right back out the door. And I mean, this is all going on, but
The equipment manager gets bandaged up.
yeah, but like, so our arena there's a main street right by our arena, and cops aren't allowed on university grounds in Greece because of something that happened in the past where a bunch of people got killed. So like, the opposing team fans would stand on the university grounds, which bordered the street, and they'd throw Molotov cocktails over the fence at our fans. And so then it just turned into a fight, and the cops couldn't do anything because they were technically on university grounds where they weren't allowed. And so there's just all sorts of stuff like that. Like my second year, the fans were outside kind of in that melee, and someone ended up not getting out of the way of a car that was trying to get through the crowd and got ran over and killed. And so like the season got suspended. But I mean, the sports over there, it's very different. It's very much life for them, between soccer and you grow up in a club. So you grew up from the time you were little. Say you'd be Wisconsin, so you're playing Wisconsin basketball all the way up, and then your rival will be like Marquette. So then they're growing up in the Marquette club, and so every time you play, that's all you've ever known. And just the history and the fan base and stuff. And they have newspapers, a whole newspaper that's just sports, soccer, basketball, everything. Yeah.
So they hate each other probably, right? I mean,
there's a lot of people that the diehards do. I mean, my first year, the soccer team, we were playing one of the teams in the city. It wasn't the rival, but our soccer team, the last game, they had an agreement that the opposing team would let us win so that we'd stay in the top division for soccer. Well, it turned out that like our soccer team scored an own goal and ended up losing, but because they didn't let us win, the diehards were real upset, like the big fan club. So we played that same team in basketball the last game of the regular season to send them to the second division. If we won, we send them to the second division. So all the diehards from the soccer fans show up in the arena, and they're lighting the flags on fire, and everything, and we ended up beating them. I think we beat them like 110-40,
Oh my.
and sent them to the second division for basketball.
Take that.
Yeah.
Which is like you're saying like a demotion.
Right.
Okay.
So
Wow.
it's like dropping from D1 to D2,
Yeah.
or dropping from the NBA to the G League,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Send them down in
Not
style.
only sending, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but I mean, the top 3 teams in the league go on to play the spots for like EuroLeague, and then like the next 2 spots, how you finish in the playoffs, go to like the next level European basketball. So it's a big thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, my first year we lost in the semifinals to the team that ended up winning it, but we were playing for 3rd place for that last spot to get to the top European league, and we traveled to it was 2-2. Game 5 was in Athens at the opposing gym, and it's only like a 500 seat arena, and they only had like 50 or 100 fans for the first 2 games we played down there that we lost. And so we're warming up. The game is there's like 50 people. They have the arena surrounded by riot police because they didn't want anything to happen. So we leave to go back to the locker room 7 minutes before game time, and there's just those 50 people in there. We come back out 2 minutes before the tip, and the whole gym is full of our fans. So they broke through the riot police outside, filled up the arena. We went on to win by like 10 points in the 5th game. They ripped every one of the 500 seats out of that arena before they left. And we went home. We got home. We flew home that night, and they had the airport shut down. The fans had packed the arrival section of the airport because it'd been years since they'd been to the top European league.
Oh wow.
And so we had to like single file line just to get out of the airport through the crowd. It was crazy. And that was for 3rd place.
Pretty serious about
pretty
about
serious.
sports there.
Wow.
Did you get a feel when you were over there for, you know, what league or what teams were kind of the top over on the European side? I mean, do you feel like you played for like the top European basketball leagues?
I mean, I played in some of the top leagues. Like I played in EuroLeague 3 years. I mean, whatever team I was on, we won. So there were a lot of teams that were right on the cusp of trying to get to the top level. There's where some of the times I found myself, or a team that was kind of up and coming.
Okay.
So we played like the 1 year we played, they wanted to get somewhere. So we ended up playing in a lower European level, and then we qualify the team for the high level. And then sometimes I'd stay, sometimes I'd go. I mean, contracts are usually overseas are usually for like 1 year.
Oh, okay.
And then players move on. That kind of limits if you don't get along with coaches, or you don't get along with management, or you don't foreigners aren't comfortable in the city they're in, because I mean, you're 10 months out of the year you're over there, so it's a long time away from home.
Yeah.
And
Get pretty lonely, I would think.
it can be if you don't like buy in or want to go spend time with like your teammates or stuff. So then there's plenty of personality clashes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I played with Carlos Delfino over there on one of my teams, and Mache Lampe was another guy. Jorge Garbajosa, those are all guys that played in the NBA. So you start putting all those egos on teams, and sometimes it doesn't mesh, and
Right.
people don't want to be tied to some of those big contracts.
We've got maybe 10 minutes or
Yeah,
so.
I mean,
less.
we can kind of wind things down. Just a couple questions, and it's some of them might be a little bit subjective, obviously, but just curious. We'll just say your college career. For the first question, who is the best basketball player you played with? If, you know, your 4 or 5 year career there, who was the best? And again, that's going to be subjective to answer that however you want to, teammate wise, that you played
Right.
with.
I mean, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of real great teammates. I mean, there wasn't anyone that I didn't get along with personality wise. But I mean, Devin was probably one of the most explosive players all around that I played with. I mean, Kirk Penny was really good. Tucker was really good. I mean, so you get spoiled that way.
Yeah. Who was then, and again, who was maybe your I mean, because I've played with guys that I would say that's kind of those are my favorite guys to play with. Maybe they weren't even the best player, but did you have a guy or guys that were your kind of favorite? You knew where they were going to be. You guys always kind of had you had mindset the same way. Was there a guy that you played with for the Badgers?
Devin and I were together for such a long time, and I mean, so Devin, obviously, Sharif Chambliss. Even though we weren't together that long, we played against each other all the time in AAU, even in high school. Clayton. So you figure out just playing, like reading each other and playing off each other. Morley, those guys that we were with the whole time along. Kirk, Charlie. I mean, Kirk and I had a great relationship. We played against each other overseas when we were over there and stuff. So,
okay. And then in staying in college, who would have been like the best player that you played against?
Oh, I mean, Brian Cook was really good. Sean May was good and physical, and he played really well that game we played against him. I mean, overseas it was a different game, but Darren Williams was really good. I mean, Paul Davis, he was a tough guy to play against. He had all the tools to do everything, but I mean, we played in the Big Ten. They were always good. They were good players to play against every night.
Yeah. Did you have any one guy throughout your career that maybe you went up against a number of times that kind of had your number? You felt like I'm gonna have a hard time tonight.
There wasn't anyone really like that. The more I got to play against them, the easier it was for me. They just knowing what they do. Chris Humphreys was a guy that I played against a couple times that was just really talented.
Minnesota.
Yep, I played with him on my Utah Summer League team. I mean, he had all the skills and everything. I'm surprised he didn't stick around longer. I think it was just more of a mentality thing with him. But yeah, there's just I don't know. I wouldn't say anyone really in general. More so teams.
Okay.
Illinois was always one. Michigan State, Indiana. Those are always our big time rivals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so
okay. And then anybody overseas that was a very talented guy that you played with.
I mean, you talk about talent, you talk about players. I mean, Carlos Delfino is one of the most talented guys that could do everything. There's another guy from Australia. He was 7 foot, real athletic. He's 325 pounds. I mean, if he put it all together, he would have just been unstoppable. But he could never quite get it all to fit together. But yeah, like they called him Baby Shaq. Played for the Greek national team. Skorchanides. He played for the Clippers for a year.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, he was 6'10", 360 pounds, and I mean, he moved like a guard. He could move his feet.
Wow.
He was on the team that beat the U.S. national team in Greece in 2006, I believe.
Really? Okay. Huh. Wow. Well, we really
could keep going, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there are times when you'll say something it's like, "Oh, I got a question about this," or "I got a question about that," but
Kept him long enough. Tell us about a little bit.
Oh,
we got
yeah,
just a couple
just a
minutes.
couple
Tell us a
more
little bit
minutes.
about your little family.
Oh,
Your wife and-
my little girl Mackenzie, she's 15 months now. She's growing fast. Right, we take her to the open gym for her run around, and she enjoys that. I mean, we got another one that's due any week, any day. My wife's still at 37 weeks, was on Thursday, so we're back at the farm, spending a lot of time there.
Yeah.
So we'll see where we end up with all that stuff. But I mean, I always enjoyed spending time at the gym while my parents were around, and that's part of the reason I got back into some of the open gym stuff, was just an outlet, especially in the winter, for her to run around and see people and that type of stuff.
yeah.
And what's your wife's name?
Allison. She played volleyball for the Badgers.
No.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, thanks so much for taking
we
some
really
time. We
appreciate the
appreciate.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It's been fun to get to know parts of your career that I've never heard about. I know we've played. We played up in Mount Horeb together, and I would ask you some questions from time to time when we would ride together. But there are a number of things that I didn't know, and I'm sure there's tons and tons of other questions that could be had there as well.
There's plenty of other stories I have. I mean, when you get on an airplane and there's chickens on the airplane.
Wow.
Teaser for next time.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff, or the plane's got duct tape on it. I mean,
Oh no.
I'd like to hear some
Yeah.
more stories sometime, maybe.
Maybe you'd be able to come back at some point again, and we can try to ask some wild and crazy stories. We can get some of those as well. But
oh yeah, there's plenty of those. That's for sure.
yeah. Well, we appreciate your time, and thanks to the viewers for watching. This has been the Original Father Son podcast, a voiceover podcast. And what episode are we doing here? Do you know?
Not sure. We'll just keep it a mystery.
All right, just keep it a mystery. Well, thanks for
monetized,
watching, and we'll see you soon.